Together we create possible.
Hello and welcome to the Young Epilepsy podcast, where we discuss the topic of epilepsy for family, friends and young people and children with epilepsy. I'm your host Jasmine and I'm a member of the Youth Voice Network at Young Epilepsy. Today we're lucky enough to have the founder of Purple Day, Cassidy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this talk with you.
So can you start off by telling us a bit about yourselves, Cassidy?
Of course. So I'm Cassidy Megan. I'm the founder of Purple Day. I am from Nova Scotia, Canada. I have a dog. I like spending time outdoors with friends and family.
That's so
and
fun.
I love meeting all communities.
What's your connection with epilepsy? Like, what made you start? Yeah.
My connection to epilepsy, I have it myself. I was diagnosed originally when I was 7 years old, and then my seizures had changed. I got re-diagnosed later on in life with a different epilepsy. But yeah, my own connection and my own struggles with epilepsy, and I have family members who have it as well, actually.
Oh wow. What type of seizures do you have?
I have generalized epilepsy, so myoclonic jerks and photosensitivity.
It must be really inconvenient. I mean, I only have tonic-clonics and absences, but I've had the different types.
It definitely makes things interesting.
No, I can imagine. How long did it take for you to get diagnosed?
Well, my doctors suspect I had epilepsy since I was born. So roughly 7 years. But then my EEGs were always confusing because I was originally diagnosed with complex partial epilepsy, but my EEGs always showed generalized activity. My symptoms and seizures never were presented as that until that we knew of, at least, until 2015, 2016, where I had my first tonic-clonic in my sleep, and my doctors were really happy because we finally had, concrete answers. I was like, good for you, but like now I have different seizures. What is this? Why did this happen? So then 2019, I got re-diagnosed. So like on one hand, 7 years. On the other hand,
it's a long time as well, and it's like quite a confusing time because you're learning different things all the time. And there's so much to know about the condition. I feel like even now we're all still learning about it.
There's constantly new information, new tests that they can run to try to, diagnose these things earlier. And I went through a lot of testings instead to get the diagnoses. And I have a great medical team, so they all were really, really willing to work together. So I was really blessed that way.
I mean, in the UK, on average, 1 child every hour has a epilepsy diagnosis. So obviously, when we think about that, that's a lot of people in the UK that are suffering with the condition. So I think raising awareness is so important because when you consider how many people it's affecting in families and friends, it covers a lot of the population probably. So can you share a story about, I suppose we've kind of touched on it, but behind why and how you created Purple Day?
So when I was originally diagnosed, I didn't know anyone who had epilepsy, and I knew absolutely nothing about it. I knew my aunt. I was told my aunt had something similar, but it was different, and was my parents' age, so there was no one at 7 years old I could talk to who would get it. So that kind of really drove home the isolation that we feel with epilepsy sometimes. So I really much wanted to start finding other people out there that had epilepsy. And then as I started doing that and finding people who understood it, I realized that in the same token, they also had all the same fears and worries that I did. And I didn't, my thought process was kind of like, well, if it's a medical condition that apparently lots of people have, why does no one talk about it? And why do we have to feel so isolated and afraid and worried about having the seizures and what people are going to think or do? So I want to educate the public and the people with epilepsy too that are newly diagnosed, or maybe people who don't have access to the information about epilepsy, and the right things to do if they see someone having a seizure, and that it's okay to talk about, and there's a world, a community around really ready and willing to support them.
I can really relate to that because I got diagnosed when I was about 15, 16 sort of years old. and I didn't know anyone either myself. And it's a really isolating condition. So having that ability to connect with people is amazing. Why March 26th?
It really is. It was a huge help too with talking about finding the people who had it. I chose March 26th because when I was first diagnosed, I didn't talk about it, and I would get mad if I heard other people talking about it. Even interfamily, like my mom to my nanny, I would apparently yell, temper tantrum, cry, whole yard. But my local agency here, the Epilepsy Association of the Maritimes, came to my class and do a presentation, and that gave me the courage to speak out. And then the following year, in 2008, the association came to my school, merged with my school, to do a big assembly for the very first Purple Day, and the date that worked best for the school and the association was March 26th. And then as we went forward from there, I was like, well, we had the first one on this date, so instead of changing it and maybe getting confused on dates and days, let's just keep it what it was in the first place.
That makes sense, feedback. Yeah. What were your initial goals and vision for the awareness day?
My original goals with raising the awareness was really just to let people that have epilepsy or seizures know that they aren't alone. Know that it's okay to talk about, that they don't have to hide it or hide themselves. And then it kind of morphed into that alongside educating the public on what to do with the someone having a seizure and on what epilepsy actually is, instead of the myths and the stigmas that were always shown on TV or videos or, wise tales. And I just kept kind of growing from there, and I realized, how much of a taboo subject it was. And in some places it still is.
Even in schools, it's still such a taboo subject that when you mention even seizures alone, like, people generalise it to like two different things, normally flashing lights and being on the floor, and not all seizures present that way. And it's unfortunate, really, isn't it, that it still comes across that way?
It is. And I did a project one time because my teacher found it. I was the founder of Purple Day, and she's like, all right, you're going to do an essay talk on this. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's when I was like trying to research different types of epilepsy, and I found this list of over 40 different types of seizures.
Wow.
And I'm like, people only see the generalized tonic-clonic shaking seizures. Very rarely will they see but sometimes do the zoning out ones. Like, there's over 40 different types. And I guess, yeah, that's why we're so important, and how the sad part of it is how often they can be misdiagnosed because of that.
It is really unfortunate. I think as well, the condition is so isolating, and people shouldn't have to face it alone. So raising awareness is, it's incredible. Can you share like your favourite Purple Day story? It's a tough question, isn't it?
It is, because there's been so many wonderful stories and experiences and stuff happen over the years. I think maybe they'll go with the one that kind of surprised me the most in a way of like I did not expect it. 2018, astronaut Ricky Arnold had a mission into the International Space Station, and he knew he was gonna be up there for the month of March, so he brought a purple shirt, and he took a picture of him with Earth behind him, and for a Purple Day in epilepsy awareness.
That's incredible.
And then all of NASA and Mission Control all were purple as well. Then there's also in 2012 where Purple Day was sent through legislation and all as an act and became an official law day in Canada. There's a lot.
No, they're just two incredible stories, let alone what the rest of the world's doing. That's amazing. What about you personally? Have you got any that you've done?
I guess. I mean, I was able to meet the astronaut after the following year, I think it was. Honestly, I met the Queen.
Oh, wow.
I was chosen to present her with flowers on behalf of our province.
Did you give them purple?
She was here. I think they were a mixed colors.
Yeah.
But I think there was some purples in there. And my favorite part really of everything I do with Purple Day is meeting the community members, meeting those who are affected by epilepsy, and hearing their stories and their triumphs and their progress of where how far they've come since the diagnosis, and the steps they're taking to, speak out more and almost like embrace their epilepsy.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, I do
Embrace
know
their
what you
journey
mean,
with it.
because people that are like talking about it together, it is a form of bonding, and it's so important.
It is.
Why do you think it's important then for people to get involved, whether that's family, friends, the community? Why is it so important?
So many reasons. There's still places, even around, like, just outside of, just around where I live even, that still have a lot of the old stigmas and beliefs. And people getting involved, learning about epilepsy, the truth about epilepsy, really helps, erase those negative stigmas that much more. And it helps epilepsy be easier to talk about. And it helps make, life with epilepsy a little easier too, because if you're educated on epilepsy, seizure first aid, we could have a seizure and we won't have to be afraid that we'll either get passed by or mistreated or possibly have something, like put in our mouth, the wrong things to do helps with the
And the
seizure.
thing is as well, is that constant fear is actually stressing everyone out, and stress obviously is a factor causing seizures. So in turn, it's like a snowball effect, isn't it? It's really frustrating.
It is. So then you're taking that stress off with that too, and therefore you could also help eliminate one of a seizure trigger.
Yeah.
To the best that that can go. But also, just to support and show people with epilepsy that they aren't alone. And you never know, because epilepsy isn't talked about, you never know who's going to have it. Your closest cousin could have epilepsy, and they just you might not know, because they are at the point where they're ready to talk about it, because they're unsure of it still, and because they don't know themselves others who have it. And if, it comes up in conversation that you're like, oh, I learned this recently, that could give them the courage to tell you, like, oh, I actually have seizures sometimes. And I've been diagnosed with epilepsy. Like, you never know who has it. It's kind of the invisible illness.
Yeah, and I think invisible illnesses don't get the same attention as what physical illnesses do typically, because you can't see them. So people just pretend they're not there, and it's really unfortunate because they are there and it impacts people's everyday life. So I think the work you do really, really helps everyone living with epilepsy. What's the wildest way you've had someone take part in Purple Day?
The wildest way.
I feel like that's a really hard question.
It is. I remember seeing that question. The wildest, wackiest way. I'm just gonna consult my mom, because she's part of my memory bank. What would be like the kind of like wackiest, funnest, craziest way someone celebrated Purple Day?
There's so many.
I know, right?
Let's think with that one.
People have done, like, they've made banners and posters and, like, done parades in their hometown.
For my school, we did a colour run, and this was like my idea, and we put a slip and slide at the end, and that was pretty wild.
Okay, see? That's awesome. Some people have, like, someone has like a pet donkey. Or, no, it's not donkey. Penelope the pig?
Yeah.
They have a pig named Penelope, and they'll always dress her up in a, like, purple, for a Purple Day and epilepsy awareness. I think someone did have a donkey. There's tons of epilepsy awareness, like, tattoos that people are getting.
I like the one where they get like the purple ribbon. I think that's a really cute tattoo.
Yeah, and like there's some people that have actually gotten like the Purple Day logo itself tattooed, and I mean that's pretty cool.
How did you come up with the logo? Was you part of that?
Yeah. So to my memory, the only memory I really have of the logo creation is when we were filming a commercial, and there was a commercial for Purple Day, and I was drawing the logo in the scene. But I already had the logo before that because, it was commercial for Purple Day. So I don't know. I think I remember because when I first started, from the get-go, I said worldwide. I don't know or care how big the world is. It's going around it. So I probably think like the globe was based off of that and the idea of mine. And then I think I do have a vague memory of us, me and my mom talking of like if we wanted people around it and like holding hands. What?
You had one with people all around it. You had one with people all over the map.
So I had one. Apparently, I had a logo with people standing around it, all holding hands. I had like a map with people on like different places. I think those ones. I think the general consensus would have been like they're probably too busy or hard for like printings and stuff like that. Or maybe I wanted something more simplistic. So then we just kind of stuck with the globe and. Sorry, not we, me. I stuck with the globe and I guess we did like a ribbon because I wanted the words to go across it. And it kind of worked out because as time progressed, we were able to put like the websites and the like support epilepsy awareness around the globe as like, and you can kind of look at like the letters of those and the letters in the logo are the people all coming together to support it. And
No, I really, really like it. I think it makes a lot of sense as well. Like, it's easily recognisable and people can tell what we're on about by just looking at the logo, which I think is so key in the logo. What message would you like to share with listeners who are considering getting involved in Purple Day?
reach out to your local agencies. They have a wealth of information and knowledge and help. Even if it's just to ask where to go to learn more. They have all that information. Look up different groups, like you guys.
I must say, Young Epilepsy on their page have like a massive informal thing that tells everyone different ways they can get involved, which is great.
Amazing. So there's so many resources. So all you really have to do is look up, like you can Google like epilepsy facts. And you can, if you do know some of like the myths and the stigmas, you could always look up true epilepsy facts versus myths. And then you can see which ones, are actually true.
How do you find bringing up epilepsy around people that you haven't met before?
I think it might be maybe because of how long I've been doing Purple Day before, but I'm good with it. I'm really open with all my health issues, really. So I'm pretty much always right there. I'd be like, oh yeah, well I can't do that because I have epilepsy and I'll trigger that. Or
Before Purple Day, was you the same, or was that like after Purple Day?
was it the same as before Purple Day?
Yeah, like did you still find it easy to talk to people then? The opposite.
I would take my medication at sleepovers. I would take my medication in the bathroom so that they wouldn't be able to tell I knew I needed medication. Yeah, that's what it was for. I would completely freak out if I heard anyone talking about it. I didn't want anyone to know. And yeah, when I was diagnosed even, and the doctor told me I had epilepsy, and I went, I don't want it.
I cried when the doctor told me. I got a phone call. I got told over a phone call because it was during COVID. And I just cried. I remember thinking, that can't be right. Like, I don't have that. But I did the same thing. I used to take my medication in bathrooms and people didn't notice. Or if someone did, I'd be like, oh, it's vitamins. I'd like lie and say it was something else. I used to be really, really funny about talking about it. And I think from the work you've done with Purple Day and from the work I've done with Young Epilepsy, I've managed to build the confidence and made it part of my personality, and I sort of own it.
I'm glad that you started.
That's from your work. That's from the work you've done.
Thank you.
It's truly incredible.
I think also one thing is that there's so many stigmas too. Like people like say that you can't have big jobs, you can't start a family. And even simple things like, a lot of people when they're diagnosed, they're like, okay, so you have epilepsy, there's no more swimming. You never see again. And I'm like, I've swam my entire life. It's like one of my favorite pastimes. So it's fine. It's more so there's an added risk of danger to going swimming. But that's why, even even epilepsy aside, seizures aside, you should always go swimming with somebody because accidents happen. So just bring someone with you, and if you go over drowning distance, then like wear a life jacket so that it just rolls you on your back.
I mean, I'm a lifeguard and I have epilepsy. I mean, of course, I don't work on my own just in case, but it shows that you definitely can swim, like, despite having the condition. And yeah, it's such a good sport. It'd be such a shame if everyone couldn't do it that had epilepsy.
Yeah, like the statement you can't do things when you have epilepsy, I'm big on believing it's adaptations over limitations. Just because you have epilepsy doesn't mean you're limited or have to be limited. You can, if you have the right adaptations in place, then it's worth a shot.
I think that's a really good mindset to have. I'm going to use that as my new slogan, adaptations over limitations. That's like so cool. I also think as well with epilepsy, you build up so much strength, and I think that it really helps you just in like life, having that strength from such a young age, because a lot of people don't experience like such tough things. So I do think, well, for me, it was a blessing in disguise, my diagnosis. How can listeners stay engaged and continue supporting the cause beyond Purple Day?
Beyond Purple Day, there's events that happen all around the year, and different places can have different dedicated times for epilepsy awareness. Like I think the States is November.
I think in the UK it's that time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and Japan or somewhere has it for like a week in October. So even though Purple Day itself is every year March 26th, there's always things going on, and it's partially too because even not in those months, there's stuff happening. Because we live with epilepsy 24/7, and our seizures don't stop when the awareness is not happening. So it's always good to be continuously doing stuff, doing events, doing seizure first aid sessions, just educating yourself, reaching to the community members. A lot of us who are open with epilepsy that are online are welcome questions. So if you have any questions, if you see that they talk about their epilepsy, they usually say that you can ask them anything if you're willing to learn. If you're trying to learn, then they're open to answering your questions.
I think a lot of the misconceptions do come from ignorance and people not wanting to learn. The people that do want to learn is different.
Yes, and I don't know if maybe it's some people, some bits of ignorance, but I think it's also just lack of information and lack of resources, because as much as epilepsy is talked about more now, it's still not talked about enough. And like we were in 2019, we went to Japan. No, sorry, India. We talked to 4 or 5 different places over there, and in Ahmedabad, we had at the end of the panel talk, I was just talking with a group of people, and they'd like, oh, you never like have time to despair, and they're kind of talking about like the mental health toll that epilepsy plays into it, and like that's not talked about a lot as one of the comorbidities of epilepsy. Is people usually just think it's the seizure, and so us having that conversation kind of helped me realize that like we have to make that part of epilepsy more talked about in our education with it too.
What are your like future plans and initiatives for Purple Day?
Big thing is to keep going how it's going. Trying to get more places involved, more places and people educated. Maybe some more landmarks like Purple. More awareness really, and especially in like further reach places that's still a little or smaller. Because Purple Day is in over 100 countries and every continent. But I want to reach more of like the places in those places that don't celebrate or haven't heard of it yet. So, a friend of mine is started the Muthwe Foundation in Zambia, and so we're trying to find some funding to get me up there with them, so that we can go into the village and talk to the people who have epilepsy there and the others that don't, because in this village town they still go to Mom, what's the correct wording for the doctor in Zambia?
Tribal doctor. I wish doctor.
They still go to the tribal doctor. And then what my friend is doing with that, after the tribal doctor can, if he can't treat their seizures, then he sends them to my friend who started a clinic for Western medicine there. And then they have like EEGs and medication treatment with that. So, try to get them more places like that don't have those resources.
That's incredible, yeah, because there's probably so many, like, what's the word? They're missing out on a lot of information over there, and it's so important to reach the countries that aren't getting that because it affects everyone in the world.
It does. Even a few months ago, I was at an event here in Nova Scotia, and I was talking about epilepsy and Purple Day, and the person I was talking to, the response kind of like made me take a minute. They had said they didn't think epilepsy happened over here. They didn't think people here had epilepsy. And I was like, okay, no, we do. It's everywhere. Anywhere you go, if you ask, you'll probably find or look and find someone.
So we're going to introduce Zach to the podcast. Zach's been doing some amazing work for Purple Day over the past couple of years. My first question is, why is Purple Day important to you?
Purple Day is important to me because we should never be ashamed of our epilepsy or anything that makes us different. So to me, Purple Day is an opportunity to celebrate our epilepsy. It's also a brilliant opportunity to wear purple and encourage people to ask questions on why, and just to educate people about epilepsy.
I think purple's a great colour as well. I think we won with the colour choices.
It's a great colour.
Can you tell us a bit about the challenges you've done for Purple Day?
Well, over the past few years, I have, on Purple Day, worn a purple tie to school to represent Purple Day and Young Epilepsy, which is a charity for epilepsy. I've done school assemblies to educate people on epilepsy and what kind of things you should do if you see someone having a seizure or someone you know has epilepsy. I also made everyone in my school a purple ribbon to wear, which ended up being over 500 made.
Oh, wow.
I've done different fundraising events which started when I was 8 years old, when I ran 8 miles. Then the next year I ran 9 miles. And then when I was 11, I ran 11 miles. This year I decided to do something extra special. I ran every day, for Young Epilepsy and their associated school, peers school and college. I ran, on average, over 2 miles a day, every day, for the whole year, which included a marathon and a half marathon.
That's incredible. And do you want to tell everyone how much money you raised?
Would you like it in total or?
Yeah, give us in total. Give us the big number.
It would be over 92,000 pounds.
That's incredible. Like, just to hear that number, and that's from one person alone, just shows like the importance of Purple Day. Is there any questions you'd like to ask Cassidy about Purple Day?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for helping get epilepsy more recognised and understood, and also just for giving us a day to celebrate.
Thank you. I want to thank you for everything you've done. You're killing it out there. That's amazing. All the awareness you raised by doing this. Everyone who donated to you, to your running, to everything you've done is that much more awareness that you helped be spread.
Thank you. What kind of things can we do to help get Purple Day more widely recognised?
I mean, I think you're doing a great job. You keep on doing what you're doing. Sounds like every year there's more and more people joining on with your activities and your initiatives. So I think that you're already on the right path. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep talking about it. Keep wearing the purple. Maybe we can work together and doing something virtual together.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Also, what inspired you to come up with such a brilliant idea?
Thank you. I'd say probably my own struggles with epilepsy. When I was first diagnosed, it wasn't talked about, and I felt very scared and alone. I was scared of bullying. I was scared people, my friends, wouldn't want to be my friends anymore. And it wasn't until our local association came into my school to do a presentation in my class, and I seen how well everyone was actually interested in wanting to learn, that it gave me the courage to speak up and tell them for the first time.
When you first founded Purple Day, did you think it would get this much recognition? Because this is now a worldwide thing.
I love this question because when I founded it, I was 8 years old, ish, 8.5, 9. So I wanted it worldwide from the beginning, but I don't think I really registered at that age how big the world was. I just knew I wanted it as far as it could go. And the following year, the USA Global Partners Need a Coffin Foundation helped me take it internationally. I launched it in the States, and then introducing with other organizations, and it just kept growing. And I think, seeing how big the world really was, I definitely probably didn't realize, but I'm more than happy of how far it's come.
Is there anything else either of you two would like to say or ask either?
Maybe, do you have any plans for next year's?
Oh, that's a good question. As in this year we're on, or as in 2026?
Well, this year we haven't really got any plans, but who knows?
What about you? What are you planning to do?
For next year, well, if we don't end up getting to Mafue this year, then we're going to have to aim for next year. We have a gala we do every year, so partake in that, and just continuing partnerships with people around the world and trying to help make Epilepsy and Purple Day that much more widespread and reach more people.
That sounds perfect.
Actually, I think there is probably something. I'd love to doing some work with Cassidy about Purple Day. I think that'd be cool.
I would love that. I was actually going to add to, if there's anything I can do for you guys, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help.
For me, I'm going to try and do something on TikTok and start a trend, because I think TikTok's a really good platform at the moment to raise awareness. I'm going to try and get a bit more on TikTok.
All right.
So where can we find you on social media, Cassidy?
Every social media platform, Instagram, Twitter, Instagram X, LinkedIn, Facebook. I do have a TikTok channel. I've struggled to keep active on it, but there is one. And yeah, you can just look up Purple Day. Most of you, the Purple Day March 26th, or my name, Cassidy Megan, and you'll find me.
Perfect. So I can't wait to see the collab soon.
I'm very much looking forward to it. It was a pleasure to meet you too.
It's been lovely to have you on here.
It's been great, and I love you guys' website. I love everything you guys are doing. Both of you guys are doing. Your website is phenomenal. I'll definitely be sharing that more, and maybe taking some ideas from you guys.
I'm jolly won't mind.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Cassidy and Zach, for joining us today. You're truly an inspiration for young people living with epilepsy. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media. There's links in the bio.
Together we create possible.